Hey Justin,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Are you playing Mario Kart with the Duke?
Oh, yeah. I got it out of storage.
What kind of sorcery deal with the devil is this?
You want in?
Yeah.
All right, but seriously, I was having this problem. I just bought a game for my PlayStation 3, a PlayStation 3 I've had for a very long time, and I found a game cheap, and I was like, oh, I used to love that game. I'm going to go buy it and play it. And then I forgot that none of my PS3 controllers worked. All of the batteries didn't charge anymore. The joysticks were really sticky. And I got rid of them a long time ago because I was just like, oh, these don't work. I don't need them. I have other controllers, so I should be able to use those, right? I have a bunch of 8-bit DO controllers. I had things that I thought I'd be able to use. And then come to find out that none of them are compatible with each other. I use things on the Nintendo Switch. I have my Steam Deck. I have other things that I use these controllers for, but they wouldn't work on the PS3. So I started going down this rabbit hole of buying old controllers, and I'm like, they're so expensive still. So let's just get some third-party controllers and put those on there. And even those are, $15-20 a piece. I was like, there's got to be some way to maybe convert one of the controllers I have. And then I kept looking for it, and sure enough, I found this open source project, OGX Mini. And someone made this as a converter for different controllers. If you have Xbox controllers you want to work on the PlayStation, they do that. If you have PlayStation controllers you need to work on the Switch, then it does that too. And I just thought that was so cool. And all it takes is a Raspberry Pi Pico. And sure enough, I had some of those. They're only like $4. I had a bunch of them in a drawer already. So let's go ahead and convert one of these into a controller converter, and we'll show you how all the steps. So the first thing you're going to need is a Raspberry Pi Pico. And the project supports the Pico, the original, the Pico 2, the W, even the Raspberry Pi Zero. You can flash it. The builds already exist. You'll also need a USB female cable. I'm cutting mine to about the length of the board because I'm going to have it stick out the end here as a little pigtail. And this is what your controller is going to actually plug into. So we need to solder this onto the board, and that's exactly what we're going to show you how that, or how to plug that in. So go ahead and strip the cable. You'll need the sheathing. There's probably some wire mesh that's protecting the smaller cables inside, and then you also need to strip the small cables inside. And if anyone has a better way of doing this, please let me know. But I usually use a pocket knife to get the little bit of sheathing off of the small wires. And then go ahead and get a soldering iron. You do want to solder this on here just to make sure that it's on there good. There is a board that comes with a USB-A female adapter already soldered to a Raspberry Pi Pico. I know Adafruit and some places sell it. It costs a bit more though. I think it was like $15. And again, the Pi Pico is like $4. So I'm just going with that. Now, if you don't have a way to secure your Pico, don't worry about it. You can just hold it somewhere, prop it up on something. I got one of these recently, and it's really handy just to be able to secure the board and make sure that doesn't move around while I'm trying to solder things. So let's go ahead and secure the board and get something that can hold the USB adapter too, just to make sure I can tin these wires as well. So now we're all set. Let's go ahead and tin the wires and just make sure that everything's getting ready to go so we can solder it in. And I'm just going to go ahead and solder in one of the wires, the power wire first, just to make sure that things stay in place. And then I'm going to manually pass every wire through each of the holes and then solder them in from behind. This hopefully isn't like a super difficult soldering project. If this is your first time soldering, it is fairly small for a first time. But in general, passing wires through and being able to solder this stuff is fairly common with these boards and in sort of projects that I like to work on. So now let's just clean up the backside of it to make sure that we don't have any long wires, and here's what I ended up with. There is a diagram like I showed that will show you which wires to plug in where. You can see it here where I have the power and ground on either side, and then the 2 data pins on the top left there. I'm putting a zip tie around it just to make sure we hold it in place a little bit so it's not flopping around a bunch. And then the next thing we're going to do is head over to the websites and download a release. So the main project on the releases here on the right, they haven't had a release for a little while, but it doesn't actually matter for me. This is an alpha release. It seems to be working. I'm getting the Pico download. Now I just need to hold the reset button on my Pi Pico and then plug it in. If you've never used MicroPython before, it'll show up here as that drive there, the RP2. And when you go in here, this is just where you drop the UF2 file. So all we need to do is, now that it's downloaded, pull it in here, drag it, and it will automatically flash the Pi Pico with this Python code and restart. So it'll disconnect once it's done flashing. And now I have one of the devices flashed. That's literally all it took to program it. You don't need to do any more. Program's already been compiled there for you. You're just putting it in the right folder at the right time. One more thing I wanted to do was get a 3D printed case just to protect it a little bit more. I found this one that's holding a Raspberry Pi Pico. I like that it had these like bunch of wires I could just stick on top and pass it through, which is what I was kind of looking for. So I printed off one of these and I did it in 2 different colors just because I thought it looked nice. And it's just a snap case. So all I had to do is just align it properly with the USB. It has little posts here that go into the screw hole mounts for the Pi Pico. And then I just need to snap it together. One nice thing is this actually has the reset button kind of pass through to the top. So there is a little indent on the top where I can still hold the reset button without needing to take the whole Pico out. So if I need to reflash it later in the future, I can still hold that reset button, plug it in, and update it. And that's it. So the next step is to actually test it out. These are all of the shortcuts that you need to push on your controller to make it switch modes. And so while the controller is plugged into the USB-A, the female side of the Pi Pico, and then my computer is going to be plugged into the other side of the Pi Pico. So it's two USB-A to micro USB cables. Plug it in, it turns on as an OGX Mini. Now I hit one of the controller shortcuts, and we'll see that OGX Mini disappear and then reappear as a different device, in this case an Xbox 360 controller. Hit the next one. You have to hold it for, I think it's 3 seconds, and it goes to a Xbox S controller. Let's hold the down, which in this case it's a PS3 or... Oh, it's a Pokken controller. So it's a Nintendo Switch controller, and then on the other side is a PlayStation 3 controller. And that was basically it. As soon as I had the adapter and the controller plugged in, I was able to plug it into any one of my consoles and use whatever controller I wanted. I ended up making 2 different adapters just so that I could have 2 different controllers. And I can use my Xbox 360, my Power A controller on my Nintendo Switch, on my PS3. As you saw in the beginning, I was using my original Xbox controller on the Switch as well. I can mix and match any wired controller with any other wired system. Now this project does also support wireless connectivity over Bluetooth. So if you have a Bluetooth controller for a PC or something that connects into another console, you could do that. I didn't actually try it because I didn't have any Bluetooth controllers that I wanted to do that with. Unpair them to something else that isn't already connected to a console that I want to use it for. But the README does say that they do support some of the adapters as well. So like a Xbox 360 PC adapter would also work in this case. So you could use a wireless controller onto another system. One really nice thing that I found is the setting for which controller the adapter is emulating is saved. So when I'm emulating the PS3 connectivity with a controller, as soon as I plug in another controller, it automatically is going to be a PS3 controller until I do the controller shortcuts to switch it to some other device. So the adapter itself will know I was last booted up in this mode. Let's go ahead and just emulate that again, which has been my use case where I usually just need it for 1 or 2 different consoles. There have been a couple downsides that I found. One is that not all of the controllers emulate like a full analog joystick. So in some cases, it's just acting as an 8-way D-pad. So if you have a game that needs more fine-grained controls over how much of the analog stick is moved or what direction it's moved, it doesn't work. I was trying that with the Angry Birds on the PlayStation 3, and that game is impossible to do with one of these adapters. I also found that the cable length does matter for disconnecting. So like my Xbox controller has a 9-foot cable, and if I have one of the extensions, which is another, I think, 6 feet, it doesn't detect on the Switch at all. It's just too much wire length to be able to get any sort of power from the Switch. So you may need to figure out what the wire length is for your console and controller. I do have like shorter micro USB 1-foot adapters that I've been using on a couple cases where it just makes it easier to get power from a device and then power through the adapter and then also still power the controller. So you are powering 2 devices off of 1 USB port. So it just makes sense to be able to minimize that length as much as possible. But overall, I've been really happy with just having a way to use more of these Pi Picos that seem to be a universal sort of USB adapter for things, and reuse some of my controllers I've had from old or new systems on any of the consoles that I wanted to use. So let me know if you try this for yourself, and I'll see you next time.